So we face an ultimatum from the French. Yes, that little Napoleon Macron, who hates Brexit and seems to really genuinely hates us. He's given us until midnight tonight to comply with his requests, or else they could be increasing electricity prices to Jersey, maybe even cutting the power off to Jersey, blockading St Helier, and with cross-channel business, stopping our fish and shellfish products from going into French ports, and possibly at Calais causing absolute chaos. Yes, Monsieur Macron wants to try and wreck the British family Christmas. The question is, how should we respond? The first thing to point out is this row over fisheries actually highlights just what a rotten deal Brexit was on fisheries. Why Boris signed up to this, I do not know. I suppose he inherited a pretty bad hand from Mrs May. But the truth of it is, whilst we've taken back our international waters, we haven't really applied it, because we've allowed hundreds of foreign boats, mostly French, to fish up to 6 miles from our coast. And in return for that, almost no British boats, fewer than a handful of British boats, are allowed to fish inside the French 12-mile limit. So it's completely one-sided in every regard. I would never, ever have signed up to it. Not only is it bad for our industry, not only is it ridiculous that we're still giving away so much of our resource, but it's also, and surely with a government as green as the one led by Boris Johnson, we should be concerned environmentally, particularly about what's happening in the Eastern Channel, where I myself have seen stocks being absolutely decimated over the course of the last few years. So number one, the deal is rotten, and this exposes much of that. But number two, the deal is the deal for now. It was signed with the European Union. It's a treaty between us and the European Union, and the French are breaching it in every single way, and here's why. Their problem isn't the 98% of EU boats who applied to fish in British waters but were allowed to. No, their problem is a few dozen boats they want to fish in British waters, and in particular, right up tight to Jersey. The reason the licenses haven't been given is we're told the boats do not have historic records of fishing in our waters, which means they must have been fishing illegally, because for years, boats have had to have logbooks. So the argument isn't even logical. But here's the odd thing. They're prepared to breach not just the withdrawal agreement, but the normal spirit of cooperation. And we are, after all part of the United Nations, all meeting up in Glasgow at COP26, all trying to work together. They're breaching the rules of the UN. They're breaching the treaty that we've signed with the European Union. And the EU says nothing. You know, the Poles do something with judicial appointments Brussels doesn't like, and they place on them fines of now €1 million a day. But the French can do what the hell they want. Well, I think it's about time that we made Brussels sit up and think and show that we can be serious. What is the response to this little Napoleon, to Brussels ignoring what he's doing, that is proportionate and right? I'll bet almost every one of you's forgotten something, and that is that leaving the EU, the other rotten part of it, was a massive divorce bill. And we're still paying that divorce bill. This year in 2021, we're going to be giving the EU over £7 billion. Yep, we really are. Next year, we're due to give the EU £5 billion. Here's my simple suggestion. What Boris needs to say is we will cease all further payments to the European Union until the French stop threatening illegal activity on trade, harassment on Jersey. We will not pay any more EU contributions until they're brought back into line. Oh, and the 54 million, the extra 54 million on top of the 130 that Priti Patel promised them for the boats, well, let's not pay any of that either. Remarkable, isn't it? The French can stop boats like our boats when it suits them to, but not stop hundreds of migrant dinghies coming the other way. And we do need the Prime Minister to stand up and be firm, because it isn't just fishing that's a problem here, it's also Northern Ireland. And there is now a real threat, a genuine threat of a new form, perhaps even of terrorism, coming in Northern Ireland, such as the massive upset in the unionist community that they've effectively been cut off from the mainland. The two worst parts of the Brexit deal, fisheries and Northern Ireland, need to change. The barrier to all of that is France. The French are behaving dreadfully. Brussels needs to wake up. We need to say, not a penny more until the French stop their threats.